Welcome back to Penniac Wilderness. In today's video, I'm going to make a shower. And just one sec, I'm going to show you what I was originally using for this. One of the things I was using is this shower bag. I would take water from the stream, put it into 2 kettles, which would be about 6 liters of water, heat them up, put them in here, hang this outside, and then use that as a shower. And I still do that in the winter because the other way that I've been using to shower freezes and it won't work. But what I'm going to show you today is how I created a system that allows me to pump water from the stream into a propane heated water heater and then make that into a shower. And I'm going to transform this wall of the shed into an outdoor shower, which is going to be temporary because I do plan to build a true bathhouse or shower house at some point. But for now, I'm going to use this because it does provide a bit of an overhang. And then I might put a splitter or water, I think that's what it's called, a thing that splits the water, so that I also could have a faucet here with heated water. But we'll see how things go. I have not done any pre-work for this video, so I really genuinely don't know if this is going to work, but hopefully it does. So I'm using PEX tubing, which, I mean, I'm able to basically use this from April or May through till October when things freeze up. So it's a good chunk of the year that I can use it. So that's a PEX crimping tool. And I've got some fittings here. And I know nothing about plumbing, so I'm sure there's no shortage of things I'll do that are technically wrong, but hopefully at the end it'll actually work. For this shower setup, I'm going to start at the stream and move towards the shower itself. So first thing is this strainer that's going to go in the stream. So the idea of this is to keep leaves and different debris out of the water flow. So for this, I'm going to put some plumber's tape take that. This is just a fitting that allows me to connect PEX pipe to this. Screw that on. Take my adjustable wrench, tighten it up. I have this section of PEX tubing, which I'll connect this strainer to. And then this crimping tool. And then next is just to get this in the stream underwater and not sitting right in the dirt, but also down in the water enough. So then the next step is I'm going to connect the piece of PEX pipe that's in the stream with the strainer on it to a length of PEX that will take me from the stream up to the pump. I bought some of this. So this is 1/2-inch waterline PEX pipe, which I got at a store called Canadian Tire, but there's comparable stores to Canadian Tire. Sorry to Canadian Tire, but there's lots of these type of stores all over. Like, this isn't something that seems like it's a specialty item in any way. So for this, we use another one of these PEX crimping rings, using a small adapter. And all that's doing is allowing me to connect one piece of PEX to another. So that's the piece coming from the water. and that's the piece going up to the pump. Eventually I might bury this pipe, but for now I'm just going to put something on it so it stays down a bit. So for now I just put some rocks on the PEX pipe because it had seemed to have memory from the coils to give me an idea of the length. So we have the PEX now coming from the stream up to the pump. I guess I don't know this answer. Maybe it's better to have the pump closer to the stream. I don't know if a pump works better I don't know where the pump works best in the line, closer to the water source or closer to the shower. But I want it closer to the shower because my electrical source is mobile, but it's easier to use it here than down by the stream. So what I've got for a pump is, I believe the brand was Seaflow, although it's the brand name's worn off. So it's runs on the DC cigarette lighter power of a solar generator. So I've got a Blue Eddy solar generator that I'm going to run it on. So it's got a cigarette lighter plug. I have that connected to a switch, on-off switch, and then that switch is connected to the pump. The pump has where the water comes in and where the water comes out. Where the water comes in is connected to this strainer, so it's secondary filtration. Obviously the first filtration's in the stream, but so this filtration, you can tell that it picks up some stuff. So I do clean this out. So when I've used this pump previously, I did not have the strainer on the other end. So anyway, I'll clean that out before I do a test run. The next step is going to be to connect the PEX from the stream to this side, and then connect the outflow from the pump to the water heater. So that's what I'm going to do next. But first I'm going to clean that strainer. I do have these attachments that I got also from the Cabin Depot. The majority of the plumbing stuff I got from a shop in Fredericton, New Brunswick called Leachman's Plumbing. So all the metal fittings, adapter pieces I got there. Okay, so what this does is this piece will go into the PEX, but then it still allows you to thread it onto the pump. So that's in. This will be a bit of a moment of truth to see if this even works. So I have this Blue Eddy, I think it's called, EB3A. I've spoken about this in past videos. It's been incredibly handy around the cabin because of how mobile it is, and this is what I've always used for powering this pump. So what we're going to do, point the water flow away from this, plug this into the power source, turn the power source on, and the pump should start pumping, and we'll see if it's able to get water up here, and if not, we'll find out why. We have water being pumped into the pump, and that looks like a steady flow. And just again for wattage references, so 51 DC watts. So next up is the actual shower unit. I keep calling it a shower, but I think they're calling them propane water heaters. So this is by a brand called Camp Lux. So I've ran one of these in the past in a much simpler setup. The main thing I would tell you, they work great, but just do not let water freeze in them. And that might sound obvious, but in the fall of the year, you might look at the temperature forecast and think, oh, it's not supposed to go below 0 Celsius, which is freezing. But if it does, small pipes in there freeze, expand, and break. So that's my main thing. There is a safety valve for that in them. So this piece right here, you can unscrew, which drains the water out. So I'll give you a brief overview of this. So Camplex is the brand name. I got this from the Cabin Depot. So on the front, basically two dials, blue and red. The blue dial controls water flow, so how much water you want coming in, and the red dial controls the flame strength. And so both of them are related to temperature of the water. So for example, if you wanted hottest water possible, it's kind of like a welder, I guess. You would have the flame up at maximum, and you would have the water supply down at minimum, because that makes the water move as slow as possible through the device with the least amount of water and the most amount of flame. And on the underside of the unit, you have a few attachments. Two batteries here. They're larger batteries. I forget if those are called C or D. Those go in there and lock. You've got a place where your water comes in here. And there's actually another strainer there to protect this unit. You have the release drain, so you can unscrew this to drain the water. You have the water outlet. The water that's gone through the water heater then is pumped to after it's been heated. And then here you have a place for your propane attachment. So I'll go through all that as I set this up. Several ways to hang it. So you can, which is what I do, is I just put a couple nails or something in the wall, but you could also mount it more securely, which is what I might do for this unit here today. So I'm going to put the device somewhere in the center, and then I'm going to run a shower off of one side, and I might run a faucet off of the other side. So we'll see how that goes. So I'll screw these mounting screws in. Remember, this is not my long-term place for this, but I wanted to get it up so that I knew that it worked the way I'm thinking. So we'll see if okay, that's nice. So what I'm going to do next is I have to connect the pump, the inflow, to this device, which is right here. So what I'm going to do is I think I'll mount the pump onto this building as well for now, and then I'll have to cut a piece of pipe that'll connect from there to there. So for the piece of pipe I'm going to use to connect the pump to the water heater, I have whatever this is, 2-foot section of pipe. So I have a metal fitting with a PEX crimp on. That's going to connect to the pump, and I'll be able to screw this whole piece onto the pump. And on the top I have another one of these wing nut fittings connected to the PEX, and that'll allow me to screw that onto the water heater. Thread that on. Tight but not too tight, whatever that means. So next step is to connect the pump to the water inlet. Make sure that's nice and snug. If everything's working, water should come out of the shower when I turn this on. It's got to go through all the shower device. Okay. So far so good. Okay. So next thing is to hook up the propane, which is the heat source, or the fuel that heats the unit. So there's a warning here, do not over tighten. So the shower comes with this fitting. So we'll So then I'll put in the batteries, and these are D. So 2 D batteries. It's probably that way. And that way, I'm guessing. Turn on the propane. So now what I'm looking for is if I turn on the water supply, I'm hoping we'll have hot water. So far so good. Oh yeah. So when you turn it on, the power turns on somehow. I don't know how that works, but it does. And that's the temperature in Celsius. Now we've got it to the point where we have water coming from the stream, through the PEX, water from the stream into filtered PEX pipe, through the PEX pipe, through another filter, into the pump, out of the pump, into the water heater, through the water heater with a flame that heats the water while inside, and then coming out. And 100 degrees is not a bad temperature for a shower. So I'm going to turn the water supply down all the way, flame up all the way. Oh yeah, like that's hot. Too hot to touch. Okay. So now I want to mount a shower to this, but I also kind of want a faucet. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do. Yeah, I have an idea. Stay tuned. This might be over-engineered, so to speak, but what I want to do is hook this onto the shower setup and then have it so that I have a faucet here and the shower coming off over there. I'll attach this here. I'm just going to screw this faucet in place. I'm going to tighten this one. Faucet, I'm just going to put tape on. So that is what the shower is going to connect into. So now I need to mount the shower bracket. The last part of all of this is the actual shower, which is the main reason I'm doing this in the first place, but all those other steps are necessary to get to this point. So the Camplux shower package comes with a this hose, which is actually a nice feature. So it's like a quick attach and it mounts to this. I'll show you a close up here in a second, but that mounts as a quick attach so you can disconnect it, which is useful, as I mentioned at the start of the video, to prevent freezing. So if you're done with the shower, you can disconnect this, hang it down, the water will drain out of the shower. So if water does freeze, it is, well, two things. One, most of the water will be drained out, and two, any water that is left will have room for expansion. I haven't tried this yet at all, so this may all not work, or it might work. I was going to say I did upgrade the shower head, so I bought this other shower head off of Amazon, just as an alternate one. So that's mounted. That's mounted. So I'm going to turn all the taps off. Turn the power supply on. See what happens. That one's loose. Okay. I have one loose connection, but that's fine. And that should be loose because I didn't do anything to tighten it. Else appears, but I just forgot this one. Try again. Okay, the pumps pressurize the system. So we have a small leak here, but I think that just needs to be tightened. I think that's where that's coming from. So we'll turn the pump off. So a small leak from there, but I'll just tighten that up more. And then this was leaking, but I never tightened that either. So I'll just put some tape and tighten that one up. Okay, try it again. So everything's working, but we have a slight leak coming from somewhere. So I'm going to get a towel, wipe that off, and see where the highest point is that's leaking. Still is leaking coming from up there. Well, why don't I... how do I fix that though? I made one replacement. I don't know if it was also leaking from here or there, or if it was just coming from above. But let's turn it on and see what happens. It's either completely better or very close. I don't see any leaking now. No. It all works now. So I'll go over a summary of what I've done. I started at the stream with a filter. I have PEX pipe, which basically 50 feet of PEX pipe that gets me to the pump. Goes through another filter. The pump is wired to a switch, which is then wired to the DC cigarette lighter on the Bluetti EB3A solar generator. That powers the pump. When I turn on the switch, water is pumped from the stream up into the Camplux water heater. The water goes in, it's heated, which is controlled by the water flow and the flame strength. And then the water comes out, and then I've put a splitter on it so that I can have water going to both a faucet and the shower. So I'll show you how it works. So pump's on, I think. Turn on the faucet. The water flow is what turns on the flame and the power in the device. And so Like that's like household water pressure. That's 100 degrees Celsius water right there. Like I can hold my hand in it, but it's a little warm. I'll secure this a little better just so it looks nicer. Turn the shower on. So, pretty good. So all I'm going to do now is I want to secure that there because that would look a lot nicer. And I might even just use some nails for now. So before I'm completely done, there's two things I wanted to do. I just want to build a small shelf for the solar generator. And then I might get the propane tank up off the ground as well. And then maybe I'll put a small shelf right here for shower supplies. Also a place to hang a towel. A towel hook. Well, there it is. So I now have a solar powered propane heated water heater at the cabin, powering or supplying water to a faucet, shower, from a water supply of the stream at the cabin 40 or so feet away. This is great. So now this works and I understand all the concepts. So the next transition point will be to put all of this inside of some sort of a bathhouse or shower house at some point. And then the other thing that's really important, I mentioned at the start of this video, is the issue with freezing. So obviously if pipes freeze with water in them, they can break. And I think I've built this so that I have multiple safety releases. So I can release the shower from this quick attach, drain the water from the shower. I can release the faucet, which should take the water out of most of this pipe. There's a screw at the bottom of the water heater that allows the water from the device itself to drain. And then I can unscrew, I call them wing nut connectors. They probably have a different name. Here, here, and here to drain all of the water out as well. So hopefully that'll allow me to continue to use this during the period of time where the nights might dip below zero, but the days are still warm. I'll just have to make sure I disconnect the right things ahead of time. But yeah, thanks for watching. I know this video, like I recorded and did this video as I was doing the work, so there was a few points where either things didn't quite go right or I had to readjust. I apologize for that, but also I guess it may show you the actual workflow and some of the errors you might come into. So hope it's helpful. So thanks for watching. If you did find this helpful, please feel free to subscribe. We're getting close to 50,000 subscribers, which is kind of a neat milestone in the life of our channel. But whether you do or not, whether you do subscribe or don't, I appreciate you watching and your support, and we'll see you next time on Penniac Wilderness.